Yeah, go ahead.
Well, just on this subject of government and how Washington works, I've been thinking about this a lot because I do remember clearly in 2008, you ran on a platform of really trying to become one of the most transparent administrations in American history. However, with recent leaked guidelines regarding drone strikes on American citizens and Benghazi and closed door hearings on the budget and deficit, it just feels a lot less transparent than I think we had all hoped it would be. How has the reality of the presidency changed that promise? And what can we do moving forward to kind of get back to that promise?
Well, actually, on a whole bunch of fronts, we've kept that promise. This is the most transparent administration in history, and I can document how that is the case. Everything from every visitor that comes into the White House is now part of the public record. That's something that we changed. Just about every law that we pass, every rule that we implement, we put online for everybody there to see. There are a handful of issues, mostly around national security, where people have legitimate questions, where they're still concerned about whether or not we have all the information we need. Benghazi, by the way, is not a good example of that. That was largely driven by campaign stuff because everything about that, we've had more testimony and more paper provided to Congress than ever before, and Congress is sort of running out of things to ask. But when it comes to things like how we conduct counterterrorism, there are legitimate questions there, and we should have that debate. And what I've tried to do coming into office was to create a legal and a policy framework that respected our traditions and our rule of law, but some of these programs are still classified, which meant that we might have shared them, for example, with the Congressional Intelligence Office, but they're not on the front page of the papers or on the web.
But Mr. President, in response to that question that Keir just asked regarding drones, a lot of people are very concerned that your administration now believes it's legal to have drone strikes on American citizens, and whether or not that's specifically allowed with citizens within the United States. And if that's not true, what will you do to create a legal framework to make American citizens within the United States know that drone strikes cannot be used against American citizens?
Well, first of all, I think there has never been a drone used on an American citizen on American soil. And we respect and have a whole bunch of safeguards in terms of how we conduct counterterrorism operations outside of the United States. The rules outside of the United States are going to be different than the rules inside the United States, in part because our capacity to, for example, capture terrorists in the United States are very different than in the foothills or mountains of Afghanistan or Pakistan. But what I think is absolutely true is that it is not sufficient for citizens to just take my word for it that we're doing the right thing.
So what do you believe we should do?
I am the head of the executive branch, and what we've done so far is to try to work with Congress on oversight issues. But part of what I'm going to have to work with Congress on is to make sure that whatever it is that we're providing Congress, that we have mechanisms to also make sure that the public understands what's going on, what the constraints are, what the legal parameters are, and that's something that I take very seriously. I am not somebody who believes that the president has the authority to do whatever he wants or whatever she wants whenever they want, just under the guise of counterterrorism. There have to be legal checks and balances on it.
Mr. President, before we let everyone